We're in today with the GTX 960. This is a 2015 video card with 1024 shaders. It's got 4GB of VRAM GDDR5 at 128 bits, DirectX 12 support, running at 1228 MHz on the core clock and 1753 MHz on the memory clock. I'm gonna pair it up with this Intel Xeon W3690 with 6 cores and 12 threads. I'm gonna see how it's running in a couple of games. We're in Fortnite apparently with 1080p on low details with performance mode. This is kind of fantastic. It's got 100% render scale, and I like the performance that the CPU and GPU has got here. Not gonna lie, I really like it because it's very snappy. Even though the frame time it's jumping over 10, in some situation it's running really nice, you know. So I will take this configuration because it's quite playable with it. 90 FPS on average, 10 minimals, that's the problem, and 10 frame time, 30 FPS on 1%, and 1.5 gig of VRAM utilized in order to deliver this performance. 50% load on the core, not a lot of core stress in this situation, hence why I got 60 degrees on the GPU score. This video card is very cool. It's got two big fans that is cooling those radiators, and the GPU is kind of cool, you know, cool looking and running really cool, seriously. On the CPU side, apparently we are doing a fantastic job here. You can actually see that there are some threads that are reaching maximum load, but it's doing a fantastic job overall, and can't say nothing about this performance. The CPU is still capable even today to be used, and I think there is no problem with this, seriously. But in PUBG, apparently, we are getting over 100 FPS on average. This is an actually fantastic performance considering it's 100% render scale with this video card and this CPU. And PUBG on 1080p, it's known to eat a lot of resources. So in this case, it's giving me 39 minimals, 87 1%, in some cases even 50 minimals. I will say this is a fantastic performance from this computer itself. The GPU is being utilized at maximum core load with 2.9 gig of VRAM. You can actually see it's got a lot of work in order to deliver this performance, but it's doing the job, you know. The GPU is doing the job. 62 degrees. I mean, this is an awesome performance overall, and I like how it looks and how it performs with this CPU and this GPU. This is an absolute win for this video card and this CPU. On the system side, apparently we are getting this performance with 9.6 gig of system RAM being utilized, 40% load on the CPU. Quite nice performance if you're asking me, because the CPU is on 66 degrees and the cores are reaching around 50%. I think the threads are even more loaded. Let's take a look and see how the CPU threads are. Yes, a couple of them, they are maxed out, so there is no problem here in the CPU department. So yes, overall performance in PUBG with this combination, with this system, apparently it's a fantastic choice. I think this game, it's one of those games that allows you to play this very smooth. 1080p with low details is not that bad. But in Farlight, apparently the whole system is doing fantastic. 240 FPS on average. I got around 14 and 50 FPS on minimal, depending on the situation. In some cases it's running really nice, in some cases it's just lagging. But in this case it got like 29, 30 FPS on average, and I will say this is a very decent performance from the system itself. On 1% I got like over 100 FPS, and that is kind of fantastic. The video card in this situation is around 40% loaded with 2.1 gig of VRAM utilized in order to deliver this performance. 50, around 50 and 60 FPS on average. Kind of great performance overall. The CPU, it's around 70 degrees being utilized here in this case, but it's using the system 6.8 gig of system RAM in order to deliver this performance. I will say this is a good performance overall from the computer itself. It's very nice performance. The threads are being utilized. Yeah, a couple of threads are actually maxed out. But in Apex, apparently, we are getting around 80-90 FPS on average. This is 1080p, and I put adaptive FPS target to 100 in order to get as many FPS as possible. I will say in this situation, the game is performing really well with the system. 90 FPS on average, 14 on minimal, and 58 on 1%. Overall, it's doing fantastic, and in order to deliver this performance, apparently the game is utilizing the system with 2 gig of VRAM, 95% load on the core of the video card. The video card is actually being utilized properly in this situation, but it's not utilizing the maximum VRAM. I will say 60 degrees on average on the core. It's quite ideal for this video card. But on the CPU side, you can actually see that the CPU is using 70 degrees on the CPU in order to, to deliver this performance. The system is utilizing 8.3 gig of system RAM. I think the threads on this situation, they are being utilized in the core in order to keep up with this game. I will say overall, Apex can be played with this video card. Apex can be played with the CPU, and in this situation, there is nothing to complain here. I mean, considering how old is the CPU and the GPU, I will say this is an a good average that is given by this game. But in GTA 5 with normal details, apparently on 1080p, we're getting like 50-60 FPS. I don't know what is wrong with this system, but I think it's an average from this computer. It's not the limit on the GPU. You can actually see that the GPU wants to do more work, apparently. If I put this video card in a better computer, then I will say GTA 5, it's being bottlenecked by this 1366. You know, I will show you there's a couple of threads that are being maxed out. Then those are the reason why this video card is not shining. You know, the CPU is doing a fantastic job, but there's a couple of threads that are being utilized at maximum, and that's the only reason the GPU is not being utilized. The system is using 8.6 gig of system RAM, that's okay, and it's reaching around 65 degrees in this situation. Theoretically, the CPU needs to be under 60, so if it's over 60 degrees, that means the CPU is being utilized. So yeah, I will say the CPU is the problem in this situation. But in a game like Wreckfest with 1080p with low details, you can actually have a lot of fun with this. Look at this, the system is actually fantastic. Yes, this is what I need, a big rumble game that actually works on this system. I mean, the system is doing fantastic. In some cases it's dropping to 40 FPS, but that should be expected. Don't hit me. 6 minimals apparently with 36 on 1%. I will say this is a great experience, you know, because I know that minimals is gonna go up, and that low FPS was because everybody was in one spot. That's it. On the GPU side, 40-50% load on the core. In some cases, it's mega loaded, the GPU, but it's not utilizing the maximum VRAM, only 1.6 gig of VRAM. So the GPU stays really good in this situation, you know. So on the system side, 6 gig of system RAM and 30% load on the CPU. By the temperature, I know the CPU is not loaded because it's under 60. If it's under 60, everything is good. Yes, that's it. My cue. But in No Man's Sky, apparently with 1080p on low details, I got FSR on balance in this occasion in order to get some decent performance here with this system itself. So 70-80 FPS on average, under 20 ms, maximum core load on the GPU, 2.6 gig of VRAM utilized here. So overall, it's that bad. Do I like the performance? Yes. The CPU, on the other hand, you can actually see that is not being utilized. Let me put this to CPU. There's a couple of cores that are reaching maximum load, but it doesn't feel because it's around 60 degrees, the CPU. That means it's balanced. The moment it's passing 70 degrees, the CPU, that means it's kind of a problem. There's a problem with the performance on the CPU. I'm actually surprised that the whole system is working in No Man's Sky. This is a big game. For me, this is an alternative to Starfield because it's got the same feels here. Look at that. I can feed the animals here. Crossout with this system is doing a fantastic job. Look at this. The CPU and the GPU is doing a fantastic job. On the GPU side, we're using 60% load on the core, 1.2 gig of VRAM, and stays under 60 degrees. Looks fantastic on 1080p with low details. This is like performance mode for this game. I got 6.7 gig of system RAM, 30% load on the CPU. Not bad, you know, overall is doing a freaking nice job. In a team fight, apparently, do you have any drop, FPS drop? No, so 92 on average, hey, in a team fight. Whoa, this is great. Nice performance in this case with the CPU and the GPU. Let's take a look on the GPU side, how we're doing. Oh yeah, it looks fantastic, hey, seriously. 59 degrees, that's actually good. 38% power fan here. It's keeping the GPU really good in this occasion, and around 70 watts consumption to deliver this performance with this GPU. I would say this is kind of great. This is not good, not bad, but it's okay. In Dota 2, apparently, with maximum details on 1080p, the game is doing a fantastic job. You can actually see it looks fantastic. It's got around 70-80 FPS on average. I will say this is a decent performance because in case that the GPU is lagging or the system is lagging, you have the opportunity to lower the details to get better FPS. This is what I think about this situation. Now, on the CPU side, apparently you can actually see that the CPU it's being utilized in the team fight is dropping to 25 the minimal. Not that great, you know, but you can actually see the CPU is on 60 degrees. That means if I go on the CPU side, you can actually see some threads and some cores being utilized at maximum. The threads are a couple of them, they are reaching maximum, so hence why I got that 60-70 FPS on average. 27 on minimal. Yeah, not that great if you're asking me, but it's doing the job. 9 gig of system RAM utilized in order for this platform, this CPU to run with 60 FPS. Do remember, again, I keep saying it's maximum details, so you can put it on low details. Now, if you go on the GPU side, you can actually see that the GPU is utilized around 60%, 70 watts. On the wattage side, you can actually deduce how much power this video card is giving. You can actually see in some games that the GPU is doing around 100 watts when it's being utilized. In No Man's Sky, I think it was that situation. But overall, the system is doing fantastic. The GPU is only utilizing 1.6 gig of VRAM, and I think if you put it on low details, you will get better minimals, and you can use VSync to lock it, just in case that frame time is bugging you, you know, so there's spikes around. But in Counter-Strike 2, with 1080p with low details, apparently on performance mode, you get around 90 FPS on average. 90 FPS in Counter-Strike 2, considering the CPU that I have and the GPU. I mean, the GPU doesn't have any problems. In this case, it's delivering this performance with maximum core load and 2.7 gig of VRAM being utilized here. The system, on the other hand, is using 8.1 gig of system RAM in order to get this performance, and 40-50% load on the CPU core. Not a bad performance from the CPU and the GPU, but the question is, if they're not maxed out, where is the problem in this case? You can actually see that CPU is on 65 degrees, the cores are not maxed out, around 50% load, and I think the threads are being maxed out there. So you can actually see the threads are the one that is bottlenecking the whole system, and hence why I got only 80 FPS in this occasion. The GPU is doing fantastic, the CPU is doing fantastic, so I think overall the CPU can do even better if it's on a different platform than my HP Z400. Yeah, I think this GPU can be found really cheap nowadays. It's getting on that good price on the market, so I would really like to suggest getting a video card like this or something similar. I think 1050 Ti will be something adequate, similar to this performance. I don't know. I like this video card that I have. I like this GTX 960 overall. It's a good video card with one pin connector, and the performance is not that bad. If you manage to see it cheap, it's worth it. If you not, go for something newer, because it will be ideal in the future to have RTX. This is my only concern about this. It doesn't have RTX, so RTX will be ideal in the future for DLSS. Do I like the system? I like the system. Do I like the CPU? I like the CPU because it's a very powerful CPU for 1366. Overall, I like it, but the only problem is the price. If it's cheap, it's worth it. If it's not cheap, yeah, a new platform will be ideal. Regardless, if you like the video, if you like the benchmark, make sure you smash that like button. If you have a suggestion in the future for this HP Z400, for this platform, leave a comment. And of course, if you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you very soon.